I'll say yes, but only until someone better comes along. She smirked at my proposal, so I took the ring back. Now she's alone while I'm engaged to someone real. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I never thought I'd be the type of guy to write something like this, but here we are. For context, I, 28M, had been dating Lena, 27F, for almost 4 years when this all went down. To everyone else, we looked like the perfect couple. We lived together in a modest apartment, split rent, had a shared friend group, and even talked about marriage in vague terms. Well, I talked about marriage. She always played it off like, yeah, someday, but I figured that was just her style. I was raised on the belief that when you love someone, you give them everything you can. And with Lena, that's what I did. I worked a steady job in IT, not glamorous, but enough to keep us comfortable. I picked up extra projects on the side, just to put away a little more money. She always talked about wanting a big wedding and a nice honeymoon, and I wanted to give her that. So I cut back on things I enjoyed. No new car, no expensive hobbies, fewer nights out with the guys. Every extra dollar went into a savings account, with one clear purpose, a ring. And when I finally picked one out, it wasn't some massive diamond you see on Instagram, but it was elegant. It took me nearly 8 months of disciplined saving, and I felt proud when I had it in my hands. I remember sitting in my car in the jeweler's parking lot, holding the box, thinking, this is it. This is the start of the rest of our lives. The plan was simple. Dinner at her favorite restaurant, the kind of place we only went for birthdays or anniversaries. Afterwards, a walk through the park nearby. There's a little footbridge lit with string lights, where we'd once taken photos early in our relationship. That's where I planned to kneel. Nothing flashy, just meaningful. I didn't tell anyone except my best friend, Eric. He clapped me on the shoulder and said, man, she's gonna love it. You two are solid. And I believed him. But in hindsight, there had been little things. Times when Lena made jokes at my expense that felt a bit too sharp. Times when she compared me to other guys, subtle things, like pointing out someone else's promotion or car. I brushed it off, because that's what you do, right? Nobody's perfect, and I didn't want to nitpick. Besides, she was beautiful, charming, the kind of person who could walk into a room and own it without trying. I always felt lucky she'd chosen me. So the night came. I dressed up, hands sweating even as I tried to act casual. She wore this black dress I'd always loved, with her hair done in soft curls. At dinner, I kept touching the ring box in my jacket pocket, my heart racing every time she leaned across the table. I thought I was about to make the happiest memory of my life. Instead, I was about to hear the sentence that changed everything. Dinner went smoothly, or at least it seemed to. She was in a good mood, sipping her wine, telling me stories about her coworkers. I kept nodding along, barely tasting my food, every nerve in my body focused on the box in my pocket. When the plates were cleared, I suggested a walk. She hesitated, said she was a little tired, but eventually agreed. My heart pounded as we stepped into the cool night air. The park was quiet, just a few couples scattered along the path. The footbridge glowed softly from the string lights above. It was perfect. I stopped in the middle, turned to her, and tried to steady my voice. Lena, I began, the last 4 years with you have been the best years of my life. I've tried to be the kind of man who supports you, who loves you the way you deserve. And I want to keep doing that for the rest of my life. I dropped to one knee and pulled out the box. Her eyes widened, but not in the way I expected. Not with tears, not with joy. More like amusement. I opened the box, my hands shaking. Will you marry me? For a second, she was silent. Then she let out this little laugh. Not nervous, not surprised, more like a scoff. I mean, sure, she said, dragging the word out. I'll say yes. Relief flooded me for half a second, until she kept talking. But let's be real, she added, smirking. It's only until someone better comes along. My chest tightened, like the air had been knocked out of me. What? She crossed her arms, as if I were being unreasonable. Come on, don't look at me like that. You know you're not exactly my dream guy. You're fine, stable, safe. And honestly, everyone settles, right? I'm just being honest. I stayed frozen, ring box still open in my hand. You're telling me, I said slowly, that you'll marry me, but only until someone better comes along. She shrugged, like she was explaining something obvious. Look, you're sweet. You take care of me. But if, I don't know, some amazing guy showed up, taller, richer, more ambitious, am I really supposed to turn that down? Don't be naive. The worst part was how casual she sounded. Like this was a perfectly normal thing to say. I stood up, closing the ring box in one motion. My hands had stopped shaking. My voice, when it came out, was steady. Then there's no point, I said. She blinked. Wait, what? I slipped the box back into my jacket. I didn't save, plan, and put my heart into this so I could be your placeholder. Good luck finding your better. Her expression shifted from smug to annoyed. Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. I said yes. No, I said firmly. You didn't. And then I walked off that bridge, leaving her standing there under the lights, calling after me. I don't remember much about the walk back to the car. My body was moving, but my head was somewhere else entirely. I could still hear her voice echoing. It's only until someone better comes along. When we got home, she tried to act like nothing had happened. She kicked off her heels, flopped onto the couch, and turned on Netflix. You're seriously sulking? She asked when I didn't sit down next to her. I just stared at her for a long moment. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, I'm going to bed. That night, lying awake next to her, was the loneliest I'd ever felt in my life. I realized I had been planning a future with someone who saw me as a placeholder. Not a partner. Not someone to build a life with. Just the safe option until something shinier came along. The next morning, she acted irritated that I was being cold. When I didn't respond, she finally snapped. Don't make this into a big deal. I said yes, didn't I? Most guys would kill for that. I looked her dead in the eye and said, most guys wouldn't be okay with being a backup plan. That shut her up for a moment. Then she rolled her eyes and muttered, you're too sensitive. I didn't argue. I just showered, dressed, and left for work. The days after that were a blur. I stayed quiet. I didn't confront her, didn't fight. I just detached. I went to work, came home, ate, slept. I didn't share my plans with her anymore. Didn't include her in my thoughts. I was already gone, just waiting for my body to catch up. When I finally told Eric what happened, he stared at me like I'd grown a second head. She really said that? During your proposal? Word for word, I said. He shook his head. Man, that's not just rejection, that's cruelty. I didn't disagree. Meanwhile, Lena carried on like nothing had changed. She told mutual friends she was engaged. She even showed them the ring she never actually got, since it never left my jacket. I found out later she'd told people I was overreacting and that I'd calm down eventually. That was the moment I realized something important. She didn't see me as a person with feelings. To her, I was a role to be filled, provider, companion, whatever. Disposable if she got bored. So I did the only thing left that made sense. I packed a bag, grabbed the essentials, and moved in with Eric for a while. No fight. No dramatic goodbye. Just silence. When Lena realized I wasn't coming back, she pivoted fast. Within a couple of weeks, she was all over social media with some new guy. A tall, flashy type, expensive watch, flashy car, the works. The captions were nauseating. Finally found someone on my level 2 hearts. This is what passion looks like. Mutual friends sent me screenshots. I didn't even ask. They just assumed I'd want to see what she was up to. Honestly, I didn't care as much as I thought I would. If anything, it confirmed everything she'd said that night wasn't a slip. It was who she really was. But Lena didn't stop there. She made sure everyone knew she'd traded up. She'd drop little digs anytime she talked to people we both knew. Opie's a nice guy, but I need more than nice. Security is boring if there's no spark. She'll regret losing me one day. One of her friends told me she'd said at brunch. It was funny, really. She was so busy making sure people knew she had moved on that she didn't notice most people weren't impressed. My sister told me flat out, her whole Instagram looks like she's trying too hard. It screams desperation. Still, I kept my mouth shut. I didn't engage. I didn't trash talk her, didn't even acknowledge her existence. Then, the story started trickling in. Apparently, Mr. Flashy wasn't as together as he pretended. Yeah, he had a nice car, but it was leased to the max. The watch? Fake. And the apartment Lena kept bragging about? Not his. He was crashing with a friend while between jobs. Meanwhile, Lena was footing most of the bills. I heard all this secondhand. I didn't ask for details, but people loved keeping me updated. It was like watching a slow-motion car crash. The final twist? She'd started trying to reach out. Subtle at first. Hey, how are you doing? Text that I ignored. Then a call at 11 p.m. that I let ring out. Finally, a mutual friend told me Lena had asked if I was seriously done with her or if I was just taking time to think. By then, I wasn't thinking about her at all. I was already building something better for myself. It didn't take long for the mask to slip. One night, Eric showed me a Facebook post that made him burst out laughing. It was Lena, ranting in a long paragraph about men who fake being successful just to trap women. Apparently, Mr. Flashy had run out of smoke and mirrors. The car got repossessed, his business venture went under, and he ghosted her the second she couldn't keep covering dinners and rent. The comments weren't kind either. People she thought were friends were basically saying, "Girl, didn't you brag nonstop about how much better he was than OP?" Suddenly, her curated, perfect upgrade, life didn't look so perfect. Then came the drunk texts. First, "I miss how stable things were with you." Then, "We were so good together, I don't know why you're being so cold." Finally, "I said stupid things that night, but you know I didn't mean it. I just wanted to sound funny in front of people. Can't we talk?" I didn't reply to a single one. What hit me hardest wasn't the desperation. It was the arrogance that she still thought I'd be waiting in the wings. Like she hadn't made it clear, with her own words, that I was just a placeholder. I realized then that she hadn't lost me because of Mr. Flashy. She lost me the second she opened her mouth at that restaurant. Everything else was just her proving me right. By the time Lena's life was unraveling, mine had taken a completely different turn. With no emotional drama draining me, I threw myself into my work. My boss noticed. Within months, I was promoted. The raise let me move out of Eric's place and into a condo I actually liked. For the first time in years, my space was mine. No walking on eggshells. No passive-aggressive digs. Just quiet, peace, and progress. And then, almost naturally, I started meeting new people. I wasn't even trying. A friend introduced me to someone at a small gathering. Funny, grounded, sharp. The kind of woman who didn't need to put anyone down to feel good about herself. I didn't jump into anything right away, but the difference was clear. When she asked about my goals, she listened. When I talked about my job, she encouraged me instead of mocking me. Meanwhile, Lena was still spiraling. Friends told me she was trying to rebrand herself online, but the same people who once hyped her up were now rolling their eyes. She'd burned too many bridges, bragged too loudly, fallen too hard. And me? I never had to say a word. No revenge plot. No public call-out. Just silence. Silence was enough. Because now, while she's busy trying to rewrite her story, I'm living mine, and for the first time, it actually feels like it's mine. It all came to a head at a mutual friend's housewarming. I almost didn't go, but Eric convinced me. "Trust me," he said. "You'll want to see this with your own eyes." Sure enough, Lena was there. The second she spotted me, she lit up like we were long-lost soulmates. "Mark," she gushed, rushing over with a fake brightness that fooled exactly no one. "Oh my God, it's been forever. You look amazing." I kept my tone flat, but polite. "Evening, Lena." She lowered her voice, leaning closer. "Listen, about that night. I was stupid. I was trying to be funny, and it came out wrong. I never meant to hurt you. You know I always loved you." I just looked at her. The desperation in her eyes told me she was hoping I'd throw her a rope, give her a way back into my life. Then she tried again, more aggressive. "You can't seriously think that guy meant anything. He was just a mistake, a phase. We had years together. Doesn't that matter more than some dumb comment I made when I was drunk?" It was surreal, watching her try to spin it like I'd overreacted. As if she hadn't told me, in front of people, that I was a consolation prize. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "Excuse me," and walked away. She followed me twice that night, trying different angles, flirtation, guilt, even anger. At one point she hissed, "You're really going to throw us away over one mistake?" I didn't bother responding. By the end of the night, she looked like a balloon losing air, while I sat laughing with actual friends. A week later, Lena sent me one more message. It was long, paragraphs about how she'd grown, how she wanted another chance, how she was willing to prove herself this time. For the first time since that night at the restaurant, I decided to respond. Short, simple, final. "Lena, you were clear about how you saw me when you said I was just a backup. That moment ended everything for me. I didn't throw us away. You did. I've moved on, and I don't look back. I wish you the same clarity one day. That was it. No insults, no drama. Just the truth. She replied almost immediately with, "Wow. So you think you're too good for me now?" I didn't even open the rest. Blocked. And in that moment, I realized the ultimate irony. The words she'd used to cut me down, just a backup, were exactly what she had become. Except I didn't need a backup. My life was full, forward-moving, and hers was just a noise I'd finally muted for good. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.